All right, so let's get into it, folks. Now, you've probably heard 1,000 times that you should wait as long as possible to make as much money as you can in your Social Security. Well, that may make sense to some people, but also the truth is retiring at 62 can actually make a lot of sense for many people. So today, I'm going to break down 5 smart reasons to retire early at 62. As always, this is not personal financial advice. It's just information to help you think through your own situation. All right, you ready? Let's jump into it. All right, folks, reason number 1, and let's be frank. You want to be able to enjoy the money while you're young enough to use it. For a lot of people, the early 60s is a sweet spot. You have your health, you have your energy, and hopefully you have your freedom. Taking Social Security at 62 puts cash in your pocket during the years when you're most active, traveling, exploring hobbies, spending time with family, living the life you actually plan for. The later decades of life can be less productive. Some people would rather enjoy the guaranteed income now rather than hope they still are able to at 67 or even to age 70. And before we go any further, let me ask you, do you know how much you're going to make on your Social Security? Do you know where the site is to go look it up? If you don't, I'm going to post the links down below. There's 2 different sites. There's one where you can actually do a member login that it's going to give you your exact dollar for your scenario, or there's a quick estimate where you can just put in a couple hypotheticals and it'll give you a roundabout number. So use those, folks, and I strongly encourage you to look them up because it's very fascinating to know. And that goes a long way into your decision making on whether you're going to take early retirement or last all throughout or even go beyond the 70 years. Reason number 2, it may take years to break even if you decide to delay your retirement. When you delay your retirement, those monthly checks do get bigger, but only if you live long enough for the larger checks to outweigh the smaller checks that you skipped. Many people don't realize how long the break-even point can be. Folks, it's shocking. If your health or you have a family history that suggests that you may not live to that age, claiming early could mean you get more out of the system over your lifetime. Taking benefits at 62 shifts the risks away from the unknown and puts more certainty into your hands. Now, I've made up a chart or a diagram of a hypothetical person. His name is John. And John worked hard his whole life, made average about $50,000 a year. And let's see what John does on a hypothetical. And folks, stick with me because the end results are shocking. Surprisingly shocking if you want to go one step further. So let's dive into it. So let's get started. But first, I think we can do better with this background. Let's make something more retirement friendly. There we go. So now we have John. I ran John's hypothetical retirement in the government's website, and you can see at 62 at early retirement, John would make $1,400. If he retired at 67, $2,000. And if he stayed till 70, $2,500. To make it easier, let's say a difference between $600 and $500, giving you a total of $1,100 between early retirement and retiring at 70. We'll move this chart right over here, and let's do some math, folks. Now, let's say our friend John retires at 62. That's 5 years of income John would be making. $1,400 a month times 12 months times 5 years, that'd equal $84,000. So let's put that $84,000 right over here. Now, let's look at retiring at age 70. Again, using the same example, our friend John retires at 62. From 62 to 70 is 8 years. At $1,400 a month times 12 months times 8 years is $134,400. Now let's put that number over here. And now we're in the home stretch. So let's figure out how long it will take to recoup our money if we did not retire early. So let's take our $84,000 that John made for the 5 years of early retirement. We'll divide that by the difference of the pay from 62 to 67, which is our $600. And that is 11.6 years, folks. That is shocking. So if we took our money at age 62 versus saving and making extra money at age 67, it would take 11 years to recoup that money before we started making profit. And let's do the math at retiring at age 70. We take our $134,400 of 8 years of early retirement. We divide that now by $1,100, which is the total difference between retiring at 62 and 70. And that equals 10.1 years, folks. Again, that's shocking. So you really have to decide if it's worth it or not. You're looking at a break-even point of between 78 and 80 years old, depending on if you retire at 67 or 70. You really have to consider, is it worth it, folks? Folks, is that incredible? I mean, I'm going to say it one more time. You will literally work 10 to 11 years longer than your retirement to make up for the money that you would already have in your pocket at 62. So by the time you're 78 to 80 years old, you're now at the break-even point where you could have had all this money in your pocket. And think about it, at 62, when you start getting those checks, could you invest those checks into something and make more money versus not having that money for 5 years to 8 years? It's just a question worth asking, folks, and that's the way I view things. If I have money in my hand, what can I do with it to increase that money down the road? Invest, stock market, buy property, land. I mean, the possibilities are endless, folks. You have money in your hand, you can do something with it versus waiting for it and then breaking even on the fact that 7 to 8 years, by the time you're 78 to 80 years old, it's starting to lean one way, folks. And I know this is a question that I've been asking myself for a while as I'm getting close to that age where I need to consider this. So we're both learning together in this fact. So thank you for sticking with me. Now let's move on to reason number 3. It can reduce the amount of money that you're taking from your personal savings. Now, we work all of our lives and we get our nice little nest egg together. And that nest egg, it just sits in the bank and draws interest, and that's your money that you're going to live on through your golden years. Well, for most of us, we need to withdraw a little bit of that money from time to time as prices get more expensive. Things come up, hospital expenses, you need a new car, moving, living expenses. So now you're withdrawing that money from your nest egg, so it's not drawing interest as much as interest was. Whereas if you take your Social Security early, now you can use that money and then keep your nest egg protected. Therefore, it's drawing more interest. It's letting it bake longer in the bank, folks. And then you're drawing more interest over the lifetime, so you'll be better off further on down the road. Just something to think about. For those people who value security and consistency, an income stream at 62 can be a major relief. Let's move on to reason number 4. And this might be a bit difficult to talk about as we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask the question, do we need the income now? Let's be real. Not everyone wants to or can keep up with working till 67 or 70. Maybe you've been laid off. Maybe you're just burned out. Maybe you're dealing with a physicality that impairs you or inhibits you from working. Or maybe you're just ready for a new chapter in life. If your retirement plan does not work without Social Security at 62, then it can be a viable reason and a practical reason to take it early. There's no reward for waiting, folks, if waiting is financially painful. And number 5, folks, taking early benefits can support a strategy for couples. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say one spouse decides to take early retirement. Now that's generating a whole nother source of income. So now that's gonna bolster the household. The other spouse maybe can delay that now, maybe going beyond 70, because remember, every year you go past 70, your benefits are only gonna grow above and beyond what your expected retirement benefits were at 70. So now you're living off the one spouse's while the other spouse's is growing. And then that way, when the second spouse decides to retire, it's even more than the projected income for the household would have been. I mean, it creates income now, a larger check later, and flexibility for long-term planning. Couples do have options, and starting at 62 can support those options, folks. And there you have it, folks, my 5 reasons. But let me put one little footnote in there, or let's call it a bonus reason. Political uncertainty. With our climate today, things are very volatile. Politicians are stealing money, billions are being funneled out to other countries. Who knows where Social Security will be in 3 years, in 5 years, 10 years down the road, folks. With the way things are going right now, would it be better to lock it in? Because once you get your Social Security locked in, you're accounted for. And unless the government goes bankrupt, you're going to get your money. Where 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, they may suspend the program, or it may not be viable anymore. We don't know. But once your money is locked in, you're locked in. So there's another thing to consider, folks. So there you have it. My 5 reasons plus a bonus reason for you. Now, if you found this helpful, let me know. Give me your thoughts in the comments on where you think you're going to go. I kind of know where I'm going to lean, but let me know. Do you like early retirement, or are you going to wait it out for the long term? There's no right or wrong answer, folks. It's just what works for you. So let me ask you once again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, will you go ahead and hit that for me? I want to grow this community and have a bunch of like-minded people coming together, sharing travel advice, retirement tips, and just conversations in general. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Like I always say, be safe and be adventurous. Until next time.